As I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, not only do we have to fear breathing in smog, smoke-filled haze from massive forest fires and, of course, COVID-19, but now researchers have discovered that toxic polyfluoroalkyl substances called PFAS have graduated from contaminating our food and water to now having been discovered in the air inside our homes, classrooms, and stores at alarming levels. PFAS are forever chemicals because of their ability to not break down over time in nature and in our bodies have been linked to birth defects, liver disease, and cancer. Joining us now to discuss the dangers of these chemicals and what regulators and the legal system can do to combat them is lawyer and legal analyst Sarah Papantonio. Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So I have to ask first is how are these chemicals finding their way into the air we breathe, and just how dangerous are they?
So the type of chemical we're talking about, PFAS, is what we call the forever chemical. And we call it that because it is bioaccumulative. That means as you ingest it, it accumulates in your system. It's biopersistent, meaning that as it accumulates in your system, it stays in your system. And it's also bioactive. So all of that PFAS in your system starts to react with your organs. And that's what makes it so incredibly dangerous. That's why we start seeing the reaction to certain cancers, the liver disease. I mean, this stuff is so pervasive in the world that it's being found in oceans, in the Arctic, in really remote areas. And that's just because it is so pervasive and it's so prevalent. Right? It's been used on every basically household item, anything that is non-stick, non-stain, which is virtually all of our consumer products, you find PFAS. So we've created this problem for ourselves that now we're in a situation and we're finally learning just how dangerous it is, but we don't really know how to solve the problem.
And that's interesting because on the other side of this, you got Robert Simon, who I quoted earlier, the vice president of the Chemical Products and Technology Division at the American Chemistry Council. He argues in The Hill that PFAS help make possible the cell phones, tablets, and telecommunications that we use every day to connect with our friends and family. They power the aircraft that power the U.S. military and the wind and solar powers that help enable alternative energy sources. And that banning or regulating them would do more harm than good. Is that truly the case? Are we so dependent on these dangerous chemicals that we can't save ourselves from them?
I mean, we're absolutely dependent on it. And I can't sit here and say we have to just totally erase PFAS and get rid of all of the products that use it, because that's kind of unreasonable. But what we have to look at is the history of it. You know, we've known PFAS to be a dangerous chemical for the past couple years, actually for a couple decades now. And in the past couple years, we've started taking it off the market, or we've been telling manufacturers to take it off the market. But what this study actually just found is the very elements, the very PFAS chemicals that we have told manufacturers to take off the market have shown up in this study. So I don't want to say we have to take it all off, but we have to enforce. These manufacturers. The government has to really act on this stuff and make sure that they're holding these manufacturers liable and accountable for getting this nasty stuff off the market. So no, it wouldn't be a good idea to take it all off the market, but enforce the truly nasty, toxic PFAS chemicals that are causing so much harm to our environment and to ourselves.
And that's a big question. Why is it so hard to get these corporations, especially these chemical producers? I mean, we've seen the years of legal fights with companies like DuPont and things like that. Why is it so hard to get them to stop producing chemicals, or at least stop saturating our world with these kind of dangerous chemicals to where they're showing up now in the air we breathe and the food we eat? Why is that so difficult?
We'll just look around. They're everywhere. This is a huge moneymaker for these companies. And just to put this into context, PFAS has been around for nearly 40 years. And as you've discussed and as we've talked about, it's a man-made, human-made chemical. So 40 years ago, when DuPont and 3M were creating this chemical PFAS and realizing just the potential it did have, what they're also doing was evaluating the science. So 40 years ago, these companies knew just how toxic, just how biopersistent, bioactive, bioaccumulative this chemical was going to be. But they also saw, dollar signs in their eyes. They also saw just how we can use it on virtually everything. And so guess which one won?
It's pretty frightening, always frightening. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your info and intel on this subject. Thank you so much.